what's up, everyone? It's your girl V, and welcome to another episode of Mindful Unfoldings. It's a new week, new guest, and today I'm so excited because today's conversation is very. I didn't think of having it. That guest actually DM'd me and told me about it, and I was like, okay, I was open to it and receptive. But before we actually get into it, I'm gonna let her introduce herself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and before we actually, that's our icebreaker, an intro to the Mindful Unfoldings family. And yeah, hi, by the way.
Hi.
How
Thank
are
you for
you?
having me.
Thank you for coming.
My name is Oratile Mulamu. I am 22 years of age. What am I doing really with my life? I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm currently obviously like in the retail space, recently graduated in June. So,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Graduation's a big deal.
Thank you.
Congratulations, yeah.
Yeah, so right now I think I am doing a lot more living than before. So I think hence, like I approached you and just, like, because I have been following your episodes.
Thank you.
And I guess engaging because
Yeah.
anything mental health awareness is very close to home. So yeah, I think that's why it's a pleasure to be here.
No, thank you for DMing. We like it when people actually come and say, oh, I would like to come. It makes our job easier.
Yes.
But more than anything, you said you just graduated. What were you studying?
Logistics and supply chain management.
Okay. Smart girls. We like keep getting smart girls. Yes. So we're going to get into it just so we have enough time to cover everything. You say you basically advocate, if that's the word, for mental health. So I'm guessing there's a story behind that.
Yeah.
If you can share.
Okay, so I think when you are young, to say the least, like when you are in your teenage years and you become very aware of like how you're feeling, especially if it's related to like mental health. A lot of the times people would say you are self-diagnosing, but with time, I think with me, I think it was peak grade 9.
Okay.
I was just really going through a lot, man. So I'm not going to get into too much detail in terms of like what happened at the time in my life. I think it's still a bit very sensitive, but that encounter led to my parents feeling like I'm very flighty, like my mom felt I could really commit suicide at like any given time. And I don't think at that point it was that hectic. It was still like I was new to the feeling, I knew I was not okay. I knew I didn't want to be around a lot of people. I closed off. Like I think at that point in my life, I kept to myself. Also, the school environment was not, it didn't make it easier. You get the bullies, people who just choose to make your life hell on a daily basis, not knowing what you are already dealing with,
Yeah.
So then my mom suggested psychology. So we did it as a family, as a matter of fact. Well, me and my parents, rather.
Yeah.
So I first had sessions with the lady, wonderful lady, I must say. I think she's the one who eased me into the idea of talking to someone.
Yeah.
So from there, my mom then also suggested that we do joint sessions, like me, her, and my dad, so I can
That's nice.
express the things that, I couldn't.
Expressed to them before.
So I think maybe also having like a very neutral person who sees things from everybody's perspective made it easier. Because when you are trying to express yourself to your parents, your siblings, could be your aunt, anything, it always seems like it comes across as if more than anything, you're just being a child, so you're not heard. And that's what I guess pushes you more to closing off and just keeping to yourself. So I guess time went by. I learned a lot of survival skills at that point, in grade 9, progressing up until matric. So fast forward 2022, I think it just came back, and full force. Because at this point, I think I had experienced a lot of things, like outside of varsity, meeting people, different walks of life. You get exposed to a lot of very traumatizing things, especially being granted that freedom by your parents. You're now going out, you're seeing things, like things that you only heard about in movies, So, 2022, I think I was at my lowest. And above all, I made the conscious decision myself at that point. I didn't wait for my mom or anyone else to tell me because I felt like I was sinking. Like suicide was on my mind a lot more at that time. You know, you find different ways to do it. Like if it's not weed and alcohol and whatever, you know, you're just drowning. Like as an individual, at some point I tried overdosing, ended up in hospital. So my mom only actually kind of knew about the happening after. So I was at gym one morning, and because I tried like overdosing the previous night, I think it all came back because of like, you know, the body was, you know, so I passed out at gym, woke up in the hospital, and that's when my mom actually said, girl, you need to speak. What's going on? Because I think also like the tests, yes, that they took at the time kind of like just sold me out. I didn't have to explain much. So from there, my mom was like, I'm not going to do this with you again because I feel like I created the foundation. I said, if you want to talk, feel free, I'm here. But it's not very easy, you know, especially like I think at that time, I was fresh out of a very abusive relationship, like emotionally. And at some point it got physical too, you know? So I didn't know how to speak about it because my dad, Vele, was not very keen, you know, and not fond of the guy, and he was not keen on like of the idea, and he was just a flimsy character. But I always saw the best in him, you know. So I think at the time, stepping out of that relationship, I was free, but not so much because, yes, the title fell away. Like me not being with him anymore put me in a better space. But the monsters that I still had, the demons I had to fight, you know, behind closed doors. So I think at the time, I made the conscious decision to say, you know what, I need help, you know. And then I reached out my mom at their workplace, they have this I don't know what it's called, but it's called iCAS. So it's kind of like a program where even them as employees can reach out and they get like assigned with the psychology in the area.
Okay, yeah.
So I could pretty much use the platform as well. So I did. And then I found a psychologist. She actually stays in the Reeds as well. So yeah, I went through the process with her. And I think at that time, because I was walking the journey by myself, I genuinely wanted the help. Like nobody pushed me to doing it, you know. And then soon after that,
That laugh. Hey. That
yeah,
laugh.
no, soon after that, I think actually 3 weeks after I was done with psychology and everything, I fell pregnant. That's the craziest part behind everything. And I think after so much work, you know, putting in the work and striving to be in a better place, I took 20 steps back because, yeah, it's not like the journey was beautiful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Wait. So between the time you decided to pursue psychology on your own and the time of you leaving the relationship and you fell pregnant, when you fell pregnant, was it the same guy so you were seeing someone else in that process?
The craziest thing is, so I think I have a very codependent personality. So I always believe that in order for me to be okay, I need to have like companionship. Doesn't matter whether it's a best friend that I become extremely attached to or it's a partner. And I feel like most of the times I carry over like past baggages into the next relationship, and then it becomes toxic, and then I can't handle it. And then again, you know, it's an unending cycle. So I think at that point, I met this guy. Literally, my last psychology session was on the 9th of December. 2022.
Okay.
So that day, my brother and I decided to went out, and I reconciled with my best friend because we were going through things like for the 2 years before that, especially like leaving high school and everything. So we reconciled, and she said I should help her pack up her stuff because she was also moving out of race.
Okay.
So I went to Johannesburg, and it was that day that I met this guy, you know. But I think also with that, I didn't think it was anything serious. Like I just thought it was a guy I could talk to. He'd keep my mind busy, so I don't, you know, also think about everything that's been happening. And literally within 3 weeks, andribula.
Unbelievable.
Listen, he
So,
dribbled me, and then yeah, like I fell pregnant soon after, and then I think I just pretty much went back to the same place, but intensified. Yeah.
so when you found out that your parents pregnant, how did you tell your parents?
So I actually found out. It's a crazy story though. So January. This was post everything. And mind you, I think I fell pregnant around about the 21st, 22nd, somewhere there. So my December went on as normal, like everything I had planned to do.
Yeah, because it was still
You know,
early.
exactly. So I went on, we went back home, go Mamaka, because she's from Mafikeng.
Okay.
We, like, literally when I say my December went on, like life continued for me. January, when I came back, there was a day where he's like, let's hang out. I said, okay, cool, no problem. So we went out. But that day, he's like to me, he's moving to Durban. And I said, okay, that's fine. So, I take it this is going to obviously end and you go your way, I go my way. So something in me, and like when I tell people the story, it seems like a story, like literally seems like a movie, what you'd see in the movie. So I was telling him, I was like, I haven't missed my period or anything, but I actually realized that week I was ovulating. So it became like awkward silence, Then he's like, no, I wouldn't mind because like I've been trying for a child and whatever. And I was like, well, I'm not ready. So this was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
The Wednesday morning, I woke up and I called my friend who stays like front opposite. And I was
Okay.
like, girl, we need to go to this camp. She's like, what's going on? And it's like, I think I'm pregnant. Like, I just felt it before I got the confirmation. So I remember that morning we sat outside and I just cried. Like, it came gushing. And I didn't know why. Like, I cried. And then later in the day, we went to this camp, obviously, took a pregnancy test, came back positive, obviously. So it was a Wednesday. I let like the weekend slide because I was still trying to figure it out. Like, how am I, So the following Tuesday, I call my aunt and I'm like, I think I'm pregnant. And she's like, why do you think so? Do you have symptoms and whatever? So I knew I was pregnant, but
you
I
were still
didn't,
trying to like make it
yes.
sink in.
So I know then she's like, you can come to my house and then we can take the test together. So obviously I knew I was not going to expect anything other than
Different.
a positive, you know what I'm saying? So we took the test, it came back positive, obviously, and this was a Thursday. The Friday, I don't want to say cornered me, but she gave me an ultimatum. She said, tell your mom what I'm telling her. So I think I was like, girl, give me time.
Like, wait, let me also process.
So
yeah.
I was like, you know what, it's fine. I took the whole day thinking about how I'm going to approach it. And then that Friday, my baby sister had a swimming gala. So when we came back from the gala, my mom went to take a shower with my baby sister and my baby cousin. So I go to the bathroom and I sit down. I ask my mom, how do you feel about abortions? And she looks at me. She's like, girl, are you pregnant? I keep quiet. And she's like, okay, no, I'll answer you. I'll come back to you. So she like basically just shared that with her. She never judges because circumstances are different for everyone,
true.
So some people could have conceived through rape. Some it could have been like you are intentional about it, but life situation doesn't allow for you to raise a child. And why would you willingly, bring a child into an environment where there's no stability? So yeah, I was listening to her talk and then she's like, I'm going to ask you again, are you pregnant? Then I said, yes, I am. So I think what's funny is how my mom, like from jump, she was cool. Then she switched up, So at that point, she's like, okay, how long has it been? And then I told her, she asked me, who's the guy? I told her, she was more disappointed at the fact that like I just met this guy,
Yeah.
And then the next day, my mom then told my dad. So my dad, I think, was the most disappointed. Like I got the backlash from my dad, like instantly. He didn't waste time, he went off at me. But I think I understood because, also coming from a background where your parents have always set an example for you, because I think more than anything, my mom would always reiterate that she had my brother at 21, but things were different for her at the time because she was in a long-term relationship with my dad. She was done with school, things of the sort. So I think that's where I received the biggest part of like the backlash.
Yeah.
So as time went on, I think my dad warmed up to it because I think by the time my mom decided that I actually want no part in this, my dad had to step up because I was already sinking, So yeah.
So you decided not to get an abortion Was it on your mind?
A lot. Like, I think I fought the idea of having an abortion for a solid 2 months, And at the time, I think I really did have very supportive friends. So they were like, obviously trying to talk me out of it. Like, no, bro, relax. We've got you. We might not have, the means to make sure your child grows up happy, healthy, and everything, but we're here. And I think that's what matters. So at some point, truly, I think this was towards 6 months, I was now considering like actually giving my baby up for adoption. Like I was like, I'm willing to go through everything, give birth, but give it up because I can't. Like I'm not in a position of raising a child
You're
at all.
young.
You get what I'm
You're
saying?
28.
Yeah.
So what did the guy say? Since he was so eager to have a child.
So I think, men sometimes tend to like gaslight you, right? So I think at the time, because he believed there was something he could have like gotten out of me. I don't know what it is. It's like reasons known to him, So at first he was like, no, I'll be supportive. So even the Durban thing was a story. Like it was not a real thing.
He lied?
He lied. So I found out, I think when I was 4 months pregnant, that he just wanted basically the distance so he can move in with his new girlfriend. Yeah, literally. So it's pretty much how it went down. And so fine, told him about it. And then he was like, no, I'll be supportive. I'll be here for you and the baby. I'll come visit you guys every month, whatever he said. And then 2 weeks after that, he switched up. He said, dude, I actually want nothing to do with you and this child. And I was like, what?
How old is he?
He's 25, I think. Yeah, 25.
At the time he was 25.
No, at the time he was, because it was pretty much early last year. He was still 24. He's a 99.
Oh, he's a 99. This is insane.
Yeah, so he's like, he wants nothing to do with the
So
child.
not only did your mom change her mind, but your father's child. How did you, and then you just still decided to keep the baby?
It took a long time. Like, I think it took a lot of convincing. I think at some point, my dad was honestly also leaning to me having an abortion. Like, he was just not having it. But I think one day my mom just woke up and she said, you know what, we're going to do this. Like, whether he's here, whether he's not, we are doing it, So I think also the craziest thing is, so you know how, like, especially if there's a cultural difference, I am Tswana, he is Zulu, So there are certain cultural things to be observed when a child has to be born and things of the sort. So my uncle tried reaching out to him, like, okay, I'm not trying to have a discussion with you. Give me your dad's number. All I'm going to do is be in contact with your father. That's pretty much where it ends. And then he was pretty much selling an idea that I sleep around to my uncle. He's like, she must tell you who the father of that child is. I'm not the father. And I think with me, like my sexual interactions are very limited. So there's no ways it could have been anybody else, So also with that, after telling my uncle the nonsense and everything, he gave us, I don't know if it's his friend's number or whatever, but it was definitely not the dad's number. So I have a friend who's from Newcastle, so pretty much in his area because he's also from Newcastle. So she told me, like, I think I would know where your baby daddy's from, but like not the exact house. I just know the area, so maybe it can be easier to locate the family.
Yeah.
So one random day I'm chilling. I think I just had breakfast even. I get a call. It's his dad. So he's like, hey, I heard there's a girl who's pregnant and X, Y, and Z. My son made her pregnant. I was like, whoa, let me give you my mom's number because I'm not trying to interact with you. So I gave him my mom's number and they spoke about it. So upon speaking about it, it comes, like the dad also said it. He's like, we are willing to step forward, like as the grandparents, and raise this child with you guys. He says he's not the father, so we can't force him to like admit to something until such a time the child is born and you can do DNA tests and everything.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I had to deal with throughout my pregnancy. And I think also the girlfriend at the time was actively flaunting their relationship on Instagram. And,
Just so you can see.
Yeah. And I think the craziest thing is because she knew my friend from Newcastle, she knew that somehow the pictures would reach me, So at some point I went off social media because it was not very healthy for me as well. And I think at that time I had made the decision to keep. So I was not willing to risk, losing my child and everything. I think another thing that at the time threw me off was how there was a sense of them warming up to us as a family after they found out the gender of the baby. So it threw me off like completely, because I asked myself, if it was a girl, would it have been different? You know, you get where I'm getting at, right?
No. So
Yeah.
at that time, I'm sure you like mentally you were spiraling
I
because it's
was.
an emotional toll. Not only is the father of your child turning against you, your parents weren't receptive. Did you have any family members who were on your side?
Yeah, quite a lot. I think I think I come from a very open-minded family. So obviously there will be the talks of disappointment, like we thought you would do things better, but more than anything, I was cheered on like a lot. They celebrated my pregnancy just as, I think, towards the end, like just before I gave birth. That's actually when I saw like my family coming full force, and everybody was just doing their best, you know. Because I think at that time you would expect that in the labor room you'll be with the father of your child. So it was very different. Like, and I think for me having to, I made peace with it that I'm gonna be with my mom, and that's pretty much what it is.
And you were 20. That's like a lot.
Yeah.
So, man, yo, man. But okay, so now, how was, I'm sure, because now you're transitioning from just being a 20-year-old to being a mom. That's like a different transition. How was that?
I think, I don't know. If I have to be honest, it has been challenging. You know, I do get, there are those days where I just sit by myself and I beat myself down. Like, I feel like I'm not doing enough. I had dreams, man, like, you know, ideas as to by the time I have a child, where I want to be and what I would like to do for my child, you know. And I think also the most painful part about everything was realizing that I kind of have to set aside a lot of things I wanted to do for myself, for this person. And because I'll always have the responsibility of having to show up as a mother. And sometimes a father, I mean, the father's there, but I mean, when he wants to be, you know.
So
I
he's
think,
present, but he's not present.
yeah, no. He chooses. Like, I think my son is 1 year, 2 months now. He's probably seen him 5, 6 times.
Sure.
And pretty much it's always when his parents initiated, like,
So it's
we are
basically by
going to,
force.
yeah, literally. And I found out that he has another baby now. Child's like, 4 or 5 months with that girl.
And so it now
they no longer
hurts
together.
because he's present with that child, but not with yours.
No, I
He's
don't know if
not-
he's present there, but I know they're no longer together. It's pretty much what it is.
Sure. So your life basically changed.
It
'Cause
did. A lot. It did. I must
How
say.
was that? I'm sure that contributes then to
It does.
postpartum.
You know, there were days where, and I think this was in the first 2 months of like my son being born, like I just look at him and I didn't know how I felt. I knew I birthed him, but I didn't know if I loved him. I didn't know if I was happy to be a mother. Like I was just dead. Like emotions were dead. I didn't feel anything. I think it's only at a time where I had made a decision myself to say, you know what, I need to step out of it because this person needs me. He didn't ask to be born, you know. Much as I also didn't plan it, he didn't ask to be born. And I think that's only when the sense of purpose came about, and I realized that more than myself, I'm living for this person, you know. Yeah.
Sure. So I like that you mentioned purpose then. Are you Christian?
I am.
So you believe like in God, and do you believe, I know some people when things like this happen, they'd be like, oh no, this is not what God planned for me, it's my doing that put me here. Is that what you believe?
Not really. I really do believe. So you know how they say we plan but God decides? Maybe God knew what I needed. Had this not happened, who knows where I would have been in life? You know, I wouldn't have had that drive. I mean, my last year, I wrote my exams pregnant. I was drained. I was tired. And some days I couldn't even study because, you know, you are sitting in front of your book, but tears just keep rolling down. And what are you actually getting in, you know? But I pushed and I persevered, graduated with 14 distinctions. That for me meant a lot, you know, really meant a lot because I felt like I owed it to myself. When a person thought, I've kicked you and you're down and out, I had to bounce back. I had to do it for myself. So I think that's why I'll constantly reiterate that we plan, but God decides. So I think I had
ultimately.
to be here it was redirection, man. Like, it's my journey. I was supposed to walk here. I did question God though a lot, as especially pertaining to, I think, the dynamic, especially like with the father of my child just deciding that I want no part in it. Like, I questioned him a lot. Like, why am I deserving of this? I really wished I was in a different place. But in hindsight, I realized that more than me, maybe there's also a lesson he has to learn. His time is still coming. I'm patient.
Love that
So,
you
yeah.
said that though. You're not even going out of your way to make an example. You know his time is coming, quite literally, because it is. Because it is. So you went through postpartum depression, right? And how is it? Because it's different for a lot of people.
for
I
a
mean,
lot of
before
people.
you actually got here, we were speaking about how there's like a lady who was actually drowning her baby. Like, we see these things happen all the time, and it's unintentional. It's very much just like you don't know how you're feeling. So how was then your postpartum journey? Because I mean, like, we see a lot of women say, "Oh, I'm postpartum," but it's like, I don't understand what you mean.
Yeah, the experience itself. So as I highlighted the fact that I was very emotionless when it came to my child, like for the first 2 months, I think it's just a lot of things. Like, you know how obviously after birth, mothers are so drawn to their babies. You want to birth your baby. I had no drive to do such things. Like, I felt like my mom was forcing me. Like, bro, birth your child. Like, your child just pooped on himself, changed the nappy. But I was just not there. I was emotionally disconnected, and I was actually warned about this thing of breastfeeding when your energy is completely messed up, because it passes on to the child, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, like they become restless. They're not very okay. Like they become. So I saw it a lot with that. Like, at some point he became so disconnected as well. When I'd carry him, he'd cry, and he would not even spend more than 30 minutes on the boob, and he'd just be over me. And he'd sleep better and more peaceful with my parents than with me. So I think for me, it was just the little things. I don't think mine was very hectic, because I was still giving him that motherly care, but just not to the extent that I had wished had things been different. So, yeah, but I also think mine was influenced. Hence, I'm saying it was not natural postpartum depression when a woman's body goes through changes. Mine was influenced more than anything. And I think the worst thing is my son looked like my baby daddy from jump, like from birth. And I was just looking at this person like, why did you betray me? Like, why didn't you look like me? So yeah, pretty much. And I had to also do a lot of introspecting. I had to speak up, like, especially to my mom. So I think at that point my mom was over me, and she was like, tough love. She's like, I'm not going to listen to you cry every day. Get over yourself. Your child needs you. And I think that's
This is
when,
a reality.
yeah, because she's like, you can't take the child back, can you? So are you going to cry about it every day? You also can't force this person to come to the party. Are you going to cry about it every day? So I think the first 2 months were okay. And then on the third month, that's only when we went to do the DNA test. So I think also seeing my baby daddy just brought back the emotions, and I was a mess for another 2 weeks or so. But I think by the time the results came out, I had a sigh of relief, because I felt like, that thing where much as my parents believed me, there was a sense of doubt, because they were wondering, why is this person so adamant? Like he said, for full 9 months, denied it. So I think also my parents' perception about me was influenced as well. Like, everybody was waiting for
the
these
thing
results.
that he was
Yes.
drawing, like the person that you're not.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I'm sure they were glad when they saw that. Oh,
Yeah, literally.
So she was telling the truth.
And I think also with the results, like, life went on for us, and then his mom received the results. So it was a Saturday morning, and she calls my mom. She's like, did you see the results came through? So my mom's like, we'll check them out. And we checked them, literally 99.99% match. So yeah, and then from there, I had to adjust to the reality of having to see this person again, because now his parents are coming to the party, and they were consistently and constantly, forcing him as well to communicate with me, to talk to me. So his mom has this principle where she's like, I know I'm a mom and I can tell you what you need to buy for your child, but talk to your, like, your baby mama. I'm not going to be the middleman here. So I think that's when I also had to adjust to the reality that I now have to talk to this person. I now have to see this person, be in the same room as this person. And it was hard. Like sometimes I'd wait until they leave and then I'd just cry, because I also realized that even I know the relationship was very fresh, right? But I saw something in him. Like he was genuinely a nice person. So maybe the journey, the pregnancy journey, turned him into somebody completely different. But I can never justify like his actions. I can't say it was new to him, so his actions are justified. No. I still do feel like he could have been a better person, could have treated me better as well, because I can never unsee him, you know, the way I did during the journey. So even going forth, had like if there was room for fixing, it's just not there, because you know I'll always remember how this person literally treated me. You know, he'll always be a villain in my eyes, regardless. So yeah.
So knowing, I'm guessing now you're in a better space mentally, and you have a good relationship with your son.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, how is that? Like, who's Oratile now? Because obviously you're a different person.
Yes,
I mean, you're only
definitely.
22, it's been like 2 years, but that's a lot. But most just you're a different person. You were, you know,
Yeah. So
fun, outgoing, didn't care what anyone says, and now it's like I have a child. You have a responsibility.
yes.
How is that going for you? Is it helping mentally? Do you
I
think?
think so. Like, you know, as I said, purpose, right? There are days where, like for me, the slightest pleasure on my payday is being able to go and buy something for my son. That's pretty much it. Like,
Love
I feel like
that.
I'm fighting very hard to be able to give him a decent life, you know? So I'm living for him, and I really do think I am living through him, because everybody that sees him would be like, this child looks happy, he's well taken care of. So I think I really had to take a lot from myself and invest it in him. There are days where I really be crashing, but I look at this person and like he's just so innocent, you know. So he has given me purpose, reason to live beyond reasonable doubt. I think now life can get so hard, but suicide is just not an option. It's not a thought. It's not even an idea, you know. I just always look for resolutions, really. Like I look deep within myself. What can I do differently to find myself in a better space? Because suicide can definitely not be it. I also don't want to raise a broken child. So I need to be a better version of myself to be able to raise a better, you know, child. I don't want to bleed on my child. It happens a lot, you know. I think parents, our parents especially, like there were a lot of things that like us getting scolded at for some things. I really do believe they could have been kinder, you know.
Better parenting
You know, yes.
approach.
You know what I'm saying? So at that time, obviously I would like look at my mom differently, like, why are you treating me like this and whatever. But being a parent now is me realizing that sometimes it's not even what they're doing, it's you are trying to build character, you know. And over and above that, we tend to bleed a lot on our kids for things they didn't do. Like how sometimes I get so frustrated at whatever my baby daddy's doing, and then I snap at my child and he literally cries, and it breaks my heart, because he's just trying to be affectionate, you know. He's trying to, you know, be a child, and I am now releasing my frustrations on him. So I think it has been a learning curve, not only teaching me how to parent, but also it helped me understand my mother better. Like my mom and I's relationship has been on and off for the longest time. So I think now that I am a mother myself, I understand. Sacrifices had to be made, and sometimes you don't really appreciate the sacrifice you had to be, like the sacrifices you had to make to see your children get somewhere in life, you know. I know my mom had dreams of like doing her post-grad, MBA, doctorates and everything, but at some point she had to just end at like an honors, because she's like, my kids, I have to go and work for these people, you know. So you understand it as you grow, that it's not from a place of she didn't care about me, but she took a lot from herself. So sometimes when you rebel or you act in a way that's a way they don't understand, it makes them mad, because they remember, I had to sacrifice so much for you to be here, and this is how you're treating me, you know. So it was a learning curve, but I think overall as well, I've grown a lot. I can make very sensible decisions now, you know. I also think I've grown to become a very good judge of character. Just generally, like holistically. Doesn't have to be just a partner, but friends as well. Because I think the pregnancy journey alone showed me like who my friends are. A lot was revealed, you know. So that's why I say I'll never be too hard on myself. I think it had to happen because there were certain things I needed to release, certain things I needed to learn. So I am grateful for the journey. It was painful, it was hard, but I'm grateful for it.
Is there anything you would have done differently?
Would have walked away from him, yes. Like, I wish when he came at me, could have walked away. But everything else, I don't think so. Because, again, as I said, had I made different decisions at the time, I don't know where I still would have been, you know? I could have met a far worse person than him. I could have found myself in, like, very dire situations. Because, as I said, at that time, I was mentally broken. Like, there was no sense of life inside of me. So I could have really lived life so carelessly. Who knows what would have happened to me, you know? So I don't think so. Like, I'm content. I've learned to accept and let it go. The anger's gone now.
So that's yeah, that's a lot. You're strong. Yeah, you're very strong because very few people would actually,
Yeah.
persevere through what you went through. So just to close off, I'm gonna ask you, like, what's one thing that you would tell like young girls now, especially about teenage pregnancy, if you are pregnant, like how to approach your relationship with your parents, if they're going through postpartum, how should they handle that? Because it's normal, unfortunately.
Yes, no,
it's not a nice
unfortunately.
thing. So I'm saying unfortunately because it's not nice, but it's normal. So what's one thing you would tell young girls out there from your experience? Because you're also still learning. You're fresh into motherhood.
Yeah, look, so I don't think I'm an expert at this, right? But I think one thing I can honestly say is when it comes to pregnancy in itself, being a young mom, I still think I appreciate the fact that it happened at the age that it did, like, you know, when I was 20, 21, as opposed to it happening at like 16, 17, because it would have been very difficult. But one thing I'll always emphasize, it's sometimes you don't plan it, it happens, but be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself down for things that you didn't ask for. Also try and extend a little bit of courtesy to your parents, you know, because they're dealing with a lot as well. Like, in as much as you feel like you're going through the journey, they also have to adjust to a certain reality. Like, my child is no longer a child anymore. And yeah, man, I don't know. Postpartum, it's different for everyone. Hence, I'm saying I can't really speak on it because I experienced mine quite differently. So it could be different for someone else. Because, you know, with other people, baby daddy's present, you have the support from the family, but you in yourself, you're not content. And there's really not much one can say, but you must always look for the beauty in everything. Like, I know it's a very hectic position to find yourself in, but always look at your child, and that will always be your reminder that, you know what, this was all worth it because I am blessed.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
love that. Is there anything that you want to say to your child? No, when they grow up, they're gonna see this interview. So sweet message.
I don't know, man. So I'm speaking to him, right?
Yeah, you're speaking to him.
Okay, so I love you, and I think I would still do it over and over again for you. Pretty much. Yeah.
Wow. This is so cute, so lovely. Thank you so much for
Thank you for having me.
your story. I'm so speechless because it's just like when you think about it, it shows you how much, I don't want to say men only, but in the context of what we're speaking about, how people lack accountability for certain things, and you were going through so much already with like depression, and then you fell pregnant, and then you get a loser of a person who's now going to also be a loser on top of all of the things that you're doing. But they're also God's child, so we can't judge him. And his day is coming, his lesson is coming through everything.
Yeah.
One day your son's going to grow up and be an amazing man. You're going to teach him how to be a partner to women and how to treat women. It's not going to be like his father because he has a great example of his mother. I'm sure your dad also and his grandparents are like, playing a role in the man that he's going to become. You have an opportunity to shape him into the man that you know he can be, not this person who's going to go around doing things that are not nice. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
For sharing your story. You're brave. Not a lot of people can do that. And, share their story, especially at a young age. gonna be judged, and it is what it is. At the end of the day, it happens.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, but you've grown, like you said. But thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you so much for reaching out and coming to Mindful Unfoldings. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
We actually believe you'll achieve all of those dreams. You're still young, girl. Like, you're making it seem as if, like, nah, go. And I kid you not.
But I mean, it's I think it's just pressure that you put on yourself. When they say diamonds are made under pressure, you need to put yourself under pressure.
I get that, but let me tell you a story. I was putting myself under pressure, and I'm saying this like it's light, but literally I'm literally recovering from a mild stroke from going too hard. And that's why I'm also just like, don't put yourself like under pressure. And I'll speak about that like when I wrap up this season, obviously, but don't put yourself under too much pressure. At the end of the day, you have a child. And no more to take care of yourself. You're a child yourself. You know what I mean? So don't put yourself under pressure, but then give yourself time. You'll achieve all the dreams that you want to achieve. 14 distinctions. Can you please clap for her? 14 distinctions. That's a lot. So you did really well. But we wish you well. I wish you well. Can't wait to see what the future has for you. Thank you guys so much. Where can people follow you on social media?
I'm not really
You're actually
active.
private.
Yeah, my account is private.
Actually,
unfortunately.
We'll just put your name listening somewhere on the screen.
Yes.
Don't worry. But thank you guys so much for watching today's episode.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to Mindful Unfoldings on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram at Mindful Unfoldings and TikTok at Mindful Unfoldings. Continue engaging. Follow Busang Studios on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Subscribe and follow Busang Studios as well on Instagram and TikTok. And I will see. He's blushing. The man, the Busang Studios is busy blushing at the back. But we will see you guys next week in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and love and lights. Bye. Why are you blushing?